everyone, Miss Adela here. Today for art, we're going to do something very special. We're going to look into another culture. And culture meaning that we are looking into someone else's or another country traditions and ritual. So, in order to get started, let's start with number 1 on our to-do list, hello. So, like I said, hello, my name is Miss Adela. I'm going to be teaching today's class, and I look forward to doing the same as well for future classes. So now that we got number 1 out of the way, let's do number 2. Since this is the first time we are meeting each other, we definitely need to set some room rules so we can be a happy community that works well together and takes care of each other. Alright, so room rules. Number 1, stay safe. Now these are probably going to be new rules for us here, as they are pretty much everywhere else, right? But number 1 is stay safe, and that would mean we wear our masks and we keep our distance. Now I know this may be a little bit difficult, but let's try to keep this in mind so that we can all stay safe. Number 2, we're going to try to raise our hands. Now there will be time when we'll allow some discussion. I really do hope that we can talk a lot and that we can feed off of each other, because that's always awesome. But in a time where maybe we need only one person talking, definitely let's try to remember to raise our hands. Number 3, be kind to each other. I want this to be a safe place where we can grow and experiment and even fail together. And I know that failing isn't something that everyone enjoys, but it's part of growing. So in a time where maybe someone does something that we think, oh, maybe that wasn't the best way to handle it, we can still tell that person. Let's just be careful on how we say it maybe. So again, let's try to be kind to each other, okay? Do not judge other people's artworks. This kind of goes hand in hand with be kind to others, okay? Again, this is going to be an open area where we're going to learn together. We're going to try different things, and maybe it might not work out, or maybe we just don't agree with other people, and that's okay. But let's not judge. Maybe if it's something that we think, maybe this isn't, maybe before you say something, you might want to think like, oh, how would this person possibly feel if I said that? Or how can I word it in a way where I still want to express my feelings, but I don't necessarily want to offend the next person, okay? Number 5, very important, follow instructions, okay? So, especially with trying to stay safe, number 1, there will be designated areas in the room where you will be seated most likely. So just following instruction makes it a lot smoother, so we can have more time to have fun, to create, to talk to each other, and grow together as a community. And the number 6 is have fun. I get it, we're learning art, we're going to learn something new today, but like I've said before, and I will continue to say, don't be afraid to experiment. We are here to learn together, to grow together, so please have fun. I hope that at some point we can make some sort of personalized playlist, like maybe there's a song that you want to listen to while you're creating, and I'm sure other people do as well, so we can start to form a playlist hopefully, and we can start playing that in the background. Usually I feel like that, I've heard kids say that helps them a lot, so hopefully we can do all of that. But I think that's it for room rules. Alright, so now that we got room rules number 2 done on our step for today's class, we're moving on to actually talking about the Peruvian art of embroidery and visual aids, so you guys can actually see what we're talking about. Okay, so Peruvian embroidery, we're specifically talking about embroidery in Peru. So Peru is actually found in South America. It is off on the edge. I'm trying to put up the image. It's off along the edge, and it goes back as early as 3000 BC. So it's a very, very long time ago that this was started, and it's been used since. And if you still go to Peru, or if anyone has gone to Peru, if someone's from Peru, then you definitely see a lot of embroidery while you're there, or when you do go, you'll see it. And a lot of Peruvian art is textile work. So has anyone ever heard of textiles? Well, let me tell you. You're wearing them. Textiles has basically anything to do with cloths or fabric. So something like my shirt, my pants, and what you guys are wearing. Those are all considered textiles. So everyone give your textiles a good feel and pay attention to all the different textures too. Like my shirt feels a little bit rougher, my pants are a little bit softer. So textiles are basically anything having to do with fabrics or cloths, and it could also be woven, which is something we'll get into next. So a lot of the embroidery from Peru was actually used to tell stories or even to personalized symbols of communities or sections of people. So let's say it's like you guys are from, let's say, New York. We have a New York flag. Basically the colors associated with New York are like a blue and a gold or a blue and white because our flags, right? And then versus New Jersey's state flag is different. So in Peru, embroidery patterns actually also sometimes symbolized where you kind of came from within Peru. Embroidery pieces also were used to tell stories. You can think of it like a storybook that's been sewn or woven, okay? And it's beautiful, beautiful pieces of art, and I'll show you in the picture. And you can tell, like the one we're looking at here has a lot of flowers and butterflies, and that could, a piece of artwork. But maybe the one below it, it looks like it's a town. Maybe it's an image of the town from where the person is from. I'm not too sure, but what we're trying to get to is that it could be used as a tool for story time, not just art per se. Something that's also very interesting is that Peruvian embroidery had a very specific process. The process requires animals to be shaved, right, in order to get the actual the fibers, right, the yarn. And once it's been produced, it'll be dyed in some sort of pigment. So pigment is, think of it as another form of saying some sort of paint or color. What's interesting is I saw a lot of images of these pigments in powders. Now, if you guys have ever been to, let's say, a nail salon nowadays, you might actually see pigments in powders as well. So it's a lot more common today. But it's practically the same concept where they would have these colors, and just like the image provided next to us, if you look at your visual vocabs, you'll see that these pigments, there's an array, a variety of them, and these embroiderers and weavers are sitting there with little bowls or cups of these pigments, and then they'd pick what color the yarn would have to be. And so that's basically what we're going to be working on today. So now okay, so moving on now to step number 4, since we've completed 1 through 3. Let's look at some examples of the types of embroideries that we're going to be working on today. Basically, we want to work on technique today, okay? And it may get a little frustrating, a heads up. But I'm also going to teach you some neat tricks so that when you do find yourself a little frustrated, I would hope that you can try to work your way through it and using the tricks that I taught you. But if not, I'm always here to help, okay? Basically, what we would do is with a Sharpie or with a marker, trace out the image that we choose to embroider onto our canvas. This would be our canvas. It's a plastic film, and you guys can feel the texture on it. Just like pay attention to it. It feels nice and smooth, but there's still like little bumps, so it's an interesting texture. And with a marker, we're going to draw on our image just to make it easier so we know where we are embroidering today. So basically, this has a line, right, to make the shape of the smiley face, and then I use another technique for the filling in of the eyes and mouth. And this was something else that I did later on once I had a little bit more practice. So I got a little creative and fun, and I hope that we can do that too with a little bit of time. Basically, the same process says draw in the image with a marker, and then once you have your image, you go in and trace with the string and needle. Okay, and I'm going to challenge you guys by giving you guys 2 different prompts or 2 different questions to inspire your embroidery art today. If you have an option now, so you can make one that will be a visual reminder of something that you would like to remind yourself to do every single day that could better yourself, or 2, tell a story. So this is the story about my garden. okay? And it doesn't have to be too complex. I don't expect anyone to fill anything in. There's no expectations. This is just you guys practicing the technique and expressing yourselves by doing it, okay? I'm going to show you quickly how to prepare for it. So you guys will get a needle, a plastic needle. It's not sharp at all. And you will have you will receive some embroidery string, some floss, okay? So I would say that we can pick 3 colors at most. If you do find that you need 1 or 2 more colors, we should be okay, but let's hope that, maybe you can use up your 3 colors before you need a 4th or a 5th, because it can get a little challenging to control them when you have so many strings flying around. Basically, you're going to run your string through your needle's eye. See, so a needle, the end of the needle is going to have an eye, and you're going to run your string through it. And then what I'm going to do, just so it doesn't fall out, I'm going to tie a knot. A simple knot will do the trick. You can do it twice. That's probably the most. And at the very end, I'm going to tie the same knot 3 times, okay? Okay, and let's say I wanted to recreate my smiley face reminder. So what I'm going to do with my marker is go ahead and draw a circle as best as possible. Because if you don't like something about it, you also just don't have to follow that line. You guys can see it. But it's not like a permanent done deal. And what I'm going to do, so my knot at the end is ready. My knot at the needle eye is ready. And I'm going to work from the back. So where I drew my Sharpie line, I like to keep that in the front just because I can then see it when I'm actually working on it. So I'm going to put I'm going to look at the Sharpie side, but I'm going to poke my needle through the back going forward. So just like this, I'm going to poke my needle going from the back, front, away from my face. By the way, I have a lot of space between me and the needle. And I'm going to pull all the way through until the knot reaches the back there. Now, the side that the string is on is the side that you're going to go in through as well. And you're going to continue that pattern until you are done. Moving on to, now I'm coming in from the back to the front with the needle, pulling all the way through. And you see, I'm following that line as best as possible because, again, I can't necessarily follow the line to an exact T when there's holes like this all over the place. But you see, eventually you'll start to get there. And I'll work all the way around. Now, if I wanted to do dots or wanted to do fill in, we can definitely do that. I'll show you guys in a bit. Let's just try to practice getting our lines down so we know that we go in, out, in, out. Let's work on that technique first, and in a bit, maybe we'll split up. We'll see who's ready for the next step. Okay. So you can either do something that'll visually remind you of something that you'd like to be reminded of, or you can tell a story just like they did in a lot of the Peruvian embroidery. Okay, so maybe you want to grab a piece of paper, a pencil if you need to sketch, or if you already have an idea in mind, then let's get to it. Let's get to work. So pick out at least 3 colors, get your needles ready, and let's get started and draw your image once you have your inspiration ready. Okay, and once we're done, for the last bit, number 6 on our to-do list, clean up and share. So this is very important. Okay, so all of your needles will be placed in a specific bin. Okay, and remember, try not to touch anyone else's supplies. Your supplies is your supplies. That way, once the needles are in the bin, they can be cleaned appropriately in order for everyone to be safe. And if you choose, and if we have some time, I would be more than happy to set the stage so you guys can share what you've created and what your thoughts were, and hopefully we can hear each other out on that. Okay,